Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ben here. I'm back again today doing another video. The subject of today's video is going to be about the NBA's MVP award, Most Valuable Player. I want to talk about how do they really determine this award, because there's a lot of, I think, misinterpretation about why it's given out, and I think a lot of people just don't really understand why certain players get it. Of course, this is in reaction to Giannis Antetokounmpo winning the award last night. I think he deserved it. You know, it was a pretty tight race between him and James Harden. A lot of people think James Harden deserved it. If you look at just some of the key figures for these guys, you had Giannis, who led his team to the best record in the NBA with 60 wins. Harden's team only had 53 wins. Giannis averaged basically about 27 and 13 and 5, whereas Harden averaged 36 points, about 6 rebounds, and about 8 assists a game. And so, of course, Harden had the edge with points, but Giannis had the edge in the other two categories. And yes, there's other statistics like steals and blocks, which Harden had the edge in steals, Giannis had the edge in blocks. Giannis had the edge in field goal percentage. Harden had the edge in three-point percentage. So they're pretty well split down the middle as far as things like that. And as far as stats, I feel like it's sort of a wash. And then I feel like the big difference for these two was like the win totals. So let's say that the Rockets had like 62 wins this year. I think that Harden probably would have won the MVP, but because Giannis's team had the better record and the best record in the NBA, I feel that he won this award. And so the theory that I'm putting to the test today is this whole concept of a theory about who wins MVP, and that is the best player on the best record team in the NBA wins MVP most of the time. So what I mean by that is usually on the team with the best record, the best player, people just by default give the MVP to the team with the best record, and they just basically pick like, oh, okay, well, who's statistically the best player on that team? So like a good example of this would be, I'm trying to think of a particular season here. Let's say 2006 to 7 season. You've got Dirk Nowitzki on the Mavs. He averaged around 25 points per game, 9 rebounds, and then he shot 50% from the field and 40% from 3. So like a good season. But also you had guys like LeBron putting up like 30 points per game and stuff who were like really playing well. And so like statistically, Dirk wasn't the best, but he was like by far the best player on the team that had by far the best record in the NBA. So for that reason, he won the award. Or another example here would be like Steph Curry in 2015. Now be clear, I said Steph Curry in 2015, not 2016. In 2015, Steph averaged 23 points per game and 7 assists. And he shot like 48% from the field and 40% from 3. Now, are those amazing numbers? No, they're not amazing. They're really good numbers, and he was the best player on the team that had the best record in the league, which was the Warriors, who won 67 games that year. And what I'm saying is he didn't win based on he almost won more on his team rather than based on himself. And so a lot of people have been saying that about Giannis. He won the award more based on his team being great this season and him being the best player on his team rather than him individually being the best player. And it's a pretty trivial argument, but I just thought it'd be interesting to go through. So I'm going to go through the last 30 MVPs and see if they were on the team that had the best record in the league. So I'm going to start in the 1990 season, in which Magic Johnson won MVP. And if you look at who had the best record in the league, the Lakers during this season did in fact have the best record in the league with 63 wins and 19 losses. Magic also won the award this year partially based on Kareem. First year that Kareem wasn't in the league, I believe, and so he had a lot of support for kind of going it alone this year instead of having his running mate with him. The next year, 91, we had Michael Jordan winning the award for the second time. The Bulls won 61 games this year. That was second in the league to Portland, who won 63. So in theory, if we're going with the best player on the best team wins the award, Clyde Drexler should have won this award. But I think MJ had the much more impressive stats, and the wins is relatively close enough that people didn't feel weird about giving it to MJ. So we got MJ winning it this year. 92, we again have Michael Jordan winning the award, and his team was by far the best in the league this year. We had Chicago winning 67 games, and the next best team is Portland winning 57. So Chicago is better by 10 games, and it seems pretty clear that Michael Jordan would win the MVP award based on that. So that one's pretty cut and dry. Michael Jordan also had a really good statistical season. 93. Now this is a prime year where you see that it's more of a best player on the best team rather than the guy actually deserving MVP. So what do I mean by that? This year, Charles Barkley won MVP, and he was on the best team in the NBA that year, the 62-win Phoenix Suns. The second best team was New York, who had 60 wins, and so it seems pretty reasonable that Barkley won this award mainly because of his team's record rather than his statistical line. Because he only averaged like 25 and 12, but he had a season like 1 or 2 years prior where he averaged like 29 and 13. So better stats, but his team only won like 50 games that year compared to this season when they won a league best 62. So I think for that reason he won the MVP this year. So again, another case of the guy on the best team winning the award. And so if we're keeping track so far, that is one time so far out of the 4 or 5 years out of the 4 years that we've gone through that the player has not had the best record in the league but won MVP, and that was MJ in 91. So 94, we have Hakeem Olajuwon winning the award. Again, they didn't have the best record in the league. Houston won 58 games and the Sonics won 63, but the Sonics had 2 All-Stars, Shawn Kemp and Gary Payton, versus Houston's 1, who had just Hakeem. So that's really the reason that Hakeem won, is that he was statistically really good, and his team had the second best record, but they only had 1 All-Star, so that was really impressive at the time. 1995, we have David Robinson winning, and again, best team, best record, MVP holds serve, because the Spurs had the best record in the league with 62 wins. Again, a year where you could have argued for Shaq to win this award because Orlando had 59 wins, but he averaged like 29 and 11, but they didn't win because David Robinson, I think, averaged like 29.5, so he had the better scoring numbers, and the Spurs had the better record, so he won it that year. The next year, does it hold up? MJ won the award in 96, and the Bulls had the NBA best record of 72 wins. So again, yes, MVP goes to the player on the team with the best record. The next year, 97, we had Karl Malone winning the award, and he was not on a team that won the best record. So the Jazz had 64 wins versus the Bulls 69, but at this point people just had MJ fatigue. So Malone won it, but really a lot of people have talked about, in hindsight, like MJ deserved this award just as much as any other year, but people were just kind of tired of voting for him. A lot of what people have run into lately with LeBron, so just some of the more the same. The next year, 98, we have MJ winning it again, and they were tied for the best record in the league, so it holds serve. Next year, during the lockout in 99, Karl Malone won it, and his team was tied for the best record in the league. And if you adjust it to 82 games, the Jazz won 61 games this year. So, again, it holds serve. The next year, Shaq in 2000 won the MVP award, and his team won a league-best 67 games, much higher than any other team. The next highest was Portland with 59, so they were 8 games better. So that, yeah, he pretty easily was on the best team, and they won it. In 01, Allen Iverson won it, and his team had 56 wins. The Spurs were the best in the league with 58. So Philly was 2 games off, but they were such a huge overachiever, and his load that he was carrying for that team was so huge that it was no surprise that they won, so that he won the award. So that's an anomaly, but again, it is a time that a guy won without his team having the best record. The next year, in 02, Duncan won on the Spurs, and they did not have the best record. The Kings did. And actually, probably if Chris Webber played more than like the 50 games that he played this year, he would have won MVP. But because he missed a large chunk of the season, he did not win it. So it kind of by default went to the team with the next best record, and so that was the Spurs. So Tim Duncan got this award, but it might have been Chris Webber's if Chris Webber would have been healthy the whole year. Duncan gets his second award the next season, in which the Spurs did indeed have the best record in the league at 60 wins. Let's see here. 04, we have Garnett winning it. The Wolves did not have the best record in the league, but they did have the second best record, and they were in the West, so that spoke volumes. And they basically only had Garnett. So this one was a lot like the Hakeem win in that, yes, the Wolves didn't have the best record in the league, but at the same time, their team was essentially composed of only Garnett. And yes, they had some help with Sprewell and Cassell, but really it wasn't much help. And compared to a team like the super team Lakers with Karl Malone, Gary Payton, and Shaq and Kobe, this just wasn't too fair of a fight. So from that perspective, that's why Garnett won it that year. 05, we have the first year of Nash winning it, in which his team did have the best record in the league, so that makes sense. 06, we had Nash winning it again. His team didn't have the best record in the league. They actually were 9 games behind the Spurs. Phoenix only won 54 games this year compared to the Spurs 63. And Detroit actually won 64 games this year. But the reason that nobody from either the Pistons or the Spurs won MVP this year is because on the Pistons you had 4 All-Stars between Rip Hamilton, Chauncey, Ben Wallace, and Rasheed Wallace. And then on Spurs you had Tony Parker, Manu, and Tim Duncan. So they just had so much talent that they kind of canceled each other out. And then as far as Phoenix, Amari Stoudemire was out the whole season, so they were not expected to be as good as they were. So from that perspective, Steve Nash won it. So that's a weird one, and that a lot of people don't think he deserved that award. And it was one of the closest MVP races because like LeBron was in the mix and Kobe was in the mix, but of the 3 candidates in the mix between LeBron, Kobe, and Nash, Nash did have the team with the best record, so that's probably a big factor in that. Then we get to 07, as I previously mentioned, the Mavs won 67 games, and Dirk won it. Let's see here. 08, you had Kobe winning it, and it's the same deal as 06. Yes, the Lakers did not have the best record. The Celtics were 9 games better. But the Lakers, for most of the year, only had 1 All-Star on Kobe, whereas the Celtics had 3, borderline 4, depending on how you see Rondo. So, again, the Celtics kind of all canceled each other out, having so many All-Stars. 09, LeBron won it. The Cavs had by far the best record in the league. Or actually, they were 1 game better than the Lakers, but still, they had the best record. 2010, again, the Cavs had the best record, and LeBron won it with a 61-win team. 2011, Derrick Rose won it. The Bulls had the best record with 62 wins. Let's see here. 2012, this is a year in which LeBron won it, but the Heat did not have the best record in the league. The Bulls did. If you adjust the number of wins, the Bulls technically had, I think, 60, and the Heat would have had like 58, but pretty close, and LeBron was much better statistically than anyone else, so he won it. 2013, LeBron wins again, and they did have the best record in the league. They had 66 wins compared to the Thunder's 60. 2014, Durant wins it, and the Thunder had the second best record, but again, the Spurs had the best record, and they sort of had this great ensemble wherein Kevin Durant was doing a lot of the work himself on OKC because Westbrook missed a big chunk of the season. So people thought it was really impressive that the Thunder still won 59 games, and Durant had a really good stat line, so it makes sense why he got the award. 2014, as I previously mentioned, Golden State wins 67 games, and they give it to Curry because he's the best player on Golden State. Same deal in 2016, except Curry has a way better season, and I'd say deserves it a lot more in that season. 2017, we had Westbrook winning it, one of the biggest outliers on this list. His team was nowhere near the best record in the NBA. They only had 47 wins, which is 20 wins worse than the best team, which was Golden State. But Westbrook had the triple-double, so it was like this extreme statistical anomaly that people just thought compelled that they had to give it to him. 2018, Harden, best record in the league, wins MVP after being runner-up 2 to 3 times before. So it makes sense. And then we come to this past year, 2019, wherein Giannis wins it with the best record in the league. So if you want to go back in time and look them all over, 1990, I'm just going to, okay, so to go through this faster, I'm going to just say the player and if their team had the best record in the league, but I'm just going to say yes or no to go quickly. But if you go over, so Magic Johnson, yes. Next year, Michael Jordan, yes. Next year, Michael Jordan, yes. Next year, Charles Barkley, yes. Well, actually, in 91 or in 92, the Bulls didn't have the best record. So Magic, yes. Michael, yes. Michael, no. Barkley, yes. Next year, Hakeem, no. Next year, Robinson, yes. Year after that, Jordan, yes. Year after that, Karl Malone, no. Year after that, Jordan, yes. Year after that, Malone, yes. Year after that, Shaq, yes. Year after that, Allen Iverson, no. Year after that, 02, Duncan, it was a no. Then 03, Duncan, yes. 04, Garnett, no. 05, Nash, yes. 06, Nash, no. 07, Dirk, yes. 08, Kobe, no. 2009 and 10, LeBron, yes. 2011, Derrick Rose, yes. 2012, LeBron, no. 2013, LeBron, yes. 2014, Durant, no. 15 and 16 are Curry, and it's a yes. 2017 is Westbrook, and it's no. 2018 and 19, Harden and Giannis are yeses. So if you're keeping up with that, 11 out of 30 MVPs did not have the best record in the league. So it is possible, and usually what it is that it's like the team that they're on has like 1 or 2 wins less than the best team in the league, and the team that did have the best record, let's say, had like 3 All-Stars versus the team that the MVP was on had no other ones besides the MVP themselves. So I think that really does a good job of explaining it. It's basically a combination of, did your team have like the somewhere between the first and third best record in the league? How much help did you have? If you had no other All-Stars on your team, or basically the All-Stars you had, like when LeBron had Mo Williams as an All-Star, that wasn't really having a second All-Star, if you know what I mean. So the amount of wins your team had, the amount of help you had, and your stats. So like the reason that, let's say, Chauncey Billups didn't win it in 2006 when his team had the best record in the league with 64 wins, it's because he was only averaging like 18 points per game and like 7 assists. And although that's decent and All-Star worthy, it's not MVP worthy. So you got to have good stats. You got to have a good record, like somewhere between the first and third best record in the league. And you got to have almost a lack of help on your team, or at least stand out enough from the help on your team. So that's it, guys. That's a brief overview of who's won MVP, what the parameters were when they won MVP, and sort of some of the reasons why people win MVP. Hope you found this video interesting, and that's all I got. Have a good day. Bye.